Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Freldren. As you can see, I am back in Star Trek Online. Today, I'm going to be going over the brand new ship from the current summer event. That is the GOMTUU. I think before I was calling it GOMTUU, but that's like a little animal thingy, whatever it's called. But anyways, so yeah, this is a tier 6 ship, obviously. I'm going to be going over all this stuff kind of more while I'm in space, so I can get like proper numbers and stuff. But yeah, down here, so yeah, tier 6, any faction must complete tutorial, pretty standard for most or pretty much all ships anymore, especially during giveaways and event ships. Pretty much all of them are like that. All right, hull modifier 1.25 is pretty good. This is a decent sized ship. It's not massive. I thought it was gonna be a lot bigger than it is, but so I was kind of surprised on that, especially with like some of the other stuff I'll go over. Shield modifier 1, not bad. I'll be definitely going over why shields are really not much of a needed thing on this ship when I go over like the console and stuff. So, all right, 4 forward and 4 aft, which is pretty uncommon for a science vessel. This is a unique one in the fact that it has those 4 forward, 4 aft. Usually it's like 3 forward, 3 aft, maybe 4 forward, 2 aft, I think in some cases. But yeah, 4 forward, 4 aft is pretty good for a science vessel. We got 3 device slots. This is a miracle worker ship, so I believe it's normally supposed to be 2. Let's get an extra one because it's a miracle worker ship. Bridge officer stations. We got 1 commander science / miracle worker, 1 lieutenant commander tactical / temporal ops, 1 lieutenant commander engineering, 1 lieutenant universal, and 1 ensign universal. Not too bad. Again, this is a science vessel, so it's geared heavy towards more science. I do like the fact that at least it has 1 of each of the other 2 in a lieutenant commander slot. And then the universals are the smaller ones, which makes it nicer. All right, consoles. We have 3 tactical, 3 engineering, 4 science, or 5 science. All right, again, this is a science ship, so they're going to go heavy on science. And then since it's a miracle worker ship, we get that 1 universal, which is really good because instead of having the normal 11, you get another one, making it 12. And if you upgrade this twice, it makes it 14. This is why miracle worker ships are so good, because you can actually build your build out a little bit more with more consoles and don't have to be like, okay, do I use this console? Do I use that console? When you're using ships that do not have the extras. So, all right. Turn rate 7, impulse modifier 0.16, and inertia 35. This is why I thought the ship was, part of the reason why I thought the ship was going to be a lot bigger than it is, because this is very, very slow. It's not a fast ship, but you'll see the actual size. Hopefully, when I get up into space, I can show you off next to other ships and get a little bit better idea of how big it is. Next, we have +10 to shield power, engine power, and auxiliary power. This will definitely come in handy when I go over the console, so it's good that they had that this way. And then we have the console itself, universal, evolved. This can be put on other ships, which makes this console very, very good. And again, I'll go over that more when I'm in space. It's got the innovative ship mechanics, cyclical quantum slipstream drive. I think that's pretty standard. And it's got a secondary deflector, which again makes this ship very unique. The fact that it's a science vessel, it's got 4 forward, 4 aft, and a secondary deflector. It's pretty good. And on top of that, the fact that it's a miracle worker ship makes it a pretty good ship. All right, now we got the Starship Mastery package. Again, this is a science vessel, enhanced particle generator, plus exotic damage comes in handy a lot for science builds and this console. Advanced shield systems plus shield HP. This is something that not really needed for this ship or for like a build with this ship with its console, but It's a science vessel, so it's going to have it. Enhanced restorative circuitry plus healing. I believe it's whole healing. Reactive shield technology, shield regen, and hardness. Again, the shield part for this, it's not really needed, but it's a science vessel, so it's going to have it. And then we have external stimuli starship trait. So yeah, when I go into space, I'll go over, you know, all the stats and stuff, because it's more accurate when you're in space, because when you're on ground, numbers are wrong. So, all right, let's go ahead and actually look at the ship in the ship modifier, or the Taylor. All right, so I know it's not much to look at. A lot of people don't like it. I get it, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. There really isn't a lot of customization you can do for the ship, other than the patterns. And a lot of the patterns don't really do much. We get the GOMTUU, or I keep wanting to say GOMTUU, the GOMTUU starship bridge, which it comes with. You can put any other bridge on there if you want, if you got it. No Windows options, no material options, which kind of sucks. Normally you'd have like the upgrade option, you know, for materials, but not in this case. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and go over materials. I'll go over these like kind of quickly. It's got only one option. Technically the whole thing is a hull, so all right. And let's change some colors here so it's a little bit more visible. Get some bright stuff. Let's go with like a brightish, the whole thing's orange. Let's go with blue. Yeah, that should work. All right, so let's go through these quickly to get your Nun, Aquila, Ares, Centaurus. As you can see, it's mostly right now, it's just the front of the ship. Columbia. I really like Columbia because it just makes the whole thing just green on the front there. I like green, so. Oh, and you see a bit of a shade shift on the back end there, or the body of it. It's Corvus here. So eventually there are some that do actual patterns and stuff. Cygnus. All right, this has got a bit of pattern. Really doesn't really show off very well. Let me see if I can make that green too. Maybe it'll be a little bit brighter. Yeah, you see kind of a bit of a pattern in there, but it's not a lot. So, all right. Andromeda, Cassiopeia, Gemini, Lacerta, Leo, Orion. Orion's got a bit. It's actually a lot better than the previous one that had stuff on the body. It's a little bit more. It's got more of a design to it. All right. Sagittarius. This is kind of faded. Syndicate. Kind of like a tattoo type thing. And Virgo. Virgo's not too bad either. I like that one. It's pretty good. All right. Actually, I might keep that one on there. Yeah. All right. Supply that. And that's basically it. Nothing else. You know, you can obviously you put your shields on there. You know, you got your options in here for like visuals and stuff, or you can use the ones if like your shield already has something on there. Some of them don't really show off much, so others are pretty good. I really don't have a lot to show off for shields right now. Well, I do, but I wanted to try to get all the summer ones because of the summer ship, but I don't have them all yet. So, all right, let's go up into space and I'll show you off the stats and the console. All right, I'm here in space. We got a few people flying these right now. Well, quite a few actually. Can't remember what that one is for shields, but that's a pretty good one. Let's fly around. Ooh, we got more over there. Ooh, is that what I think it is? It's glowing ship over here. Is that the what's his name ship? Red's ship, as everybody calls it. This will help give you kind of an idea size, maybe, for those who know what the ship is. Is that ship? Is that the small one? It's been a while since I've looked at it. All right. Well, these are, this one right here. Is that actually a, let me look at it here. That's a legendary version of the, oh, I was thinking that might have been like the, you know, I guess that's probably about the same size as the Enterprise D, maybe. I think it's like a similar size ship. So you can kind of get an idea. This ship is not massive. It's good size, but it's mostly the shape of it, you know. So yeah. All right, let's go over stats a bit. Oh, actually, here's a really big ship over here. Let me go get up next to that one because that's a pretty good size ship. All right, let's compare it to this one. Actually, this ship isn't as big as I was thinking it was, but it's still pretty big. You might like get really close here. I was kind of hoping there'd be like an Enterprise J out here or something. But yeah, you can see that the ship's, you know, it's not a massive ship or anything. It's about the size of a lot of the cruisers and stuff. So, yeah. All right, let's go over the stats a little bit here before I take it into battle. All right, let's go ahead and look at the mastery here again so we get actual numbers. All right, so we get plus 15% damage to exotic damage abilities. So your gravity well, stuff like that. Also, this console does more damage with more exotic damage. Next, we have our plus 10% shield hit points, improved hull healing ability by 10%, improved shield healing ability by 10%. We get 114.6 shield restoration every 6 seconds, plus 5% shield resistance. All right. And then we got our starship trait, external stimuli. When surrounded, create a devastating pulse of energy. Affects foes, released a burst of devastating energy when surrounded by more than or equal to 7 foes within a 7.5 kilometer radius, which deals to foes 21,655.2 kinetic damage and a 5-second debuff of minus 59.2 flight speed and minus 59.2 turn rate. So you do a lot of damage to the enemies and you slow them down. All right. Cooldown is 45 seconds, which isn't too bad. So every 45 seconds, if you have 7 or more enemies next to you in a 7.5 kilometer radius, you do that damage and you slow them down. All right. There's not a lot of content I can think of that this will be going off, other than I don't know if small ships, certain small ships like what are they called, the swarm ships, if they count, because I know they don't count as certain ships and other I can't remember what, there's something I was looking at the other day that swarm ships didn't count. They're technically considered shuttles and they weren't affected by certain abilities that, like from a console or something, I can't remember. But anyways, so maybe in swarm it might work. Certain TFOs will probably have that. There is a I'll see if there's enough enemies will spawn. I don't think enough enemies spawn in it, but we'll give it a shot anyways. One of the patrols, I can't remember how many spawn at a time. It might be 5, so it might not go off. All right, so I might have to figure out how to get that to go off. I might have to find like a TFO or something. All right, now let's go over the console. It's right here. Right now it says 0 for its passive. So plus 0, all damage resistance rating scales up as shield capacity falls. So this is what I was talking about earlier for like when I was reading off the stats and stuff. Shield capacity doesn't really matter as much for this ship if you're doing it in a certain way. If you're doing a whole tank. So, but yeah, the more or the less shields you have based on your max shields or whatever, you'll end up getting more resistances. So I'll go over that here in a minute. But also for this one, this is pretty unique because even though it's a universal and can go in any slot, its ability is dependent on what slot it is in. All right, so exotic damage plus when slotted in, tactical, weapons offline plus weapons power. All right. Science shield offline plus buff shield power. Engine offline, buff engine power, and then auxiliary when it's in universal slot offline, buffs aux power. So when they go offline, I believe you get a buff to that power. So, all right. When struck by damage, reach a critical level 7, a 7-kilometer radius pulse deals 17,423.1 radiation damage. All right. Then, depending on console slot, all right. So, and then plus 2-minute recharge time. Not bad. It's pretty standard for a console. All right. So, if it's in the tactical console slot, adds 50% of your auxiliary power to your weapons and disables foe weapon systems for 10 seconds. Again, this is what happens when you activate it. So they're all going to say 2-minute recharge. When it's in your science slot, science console adds 50% of your auxiliary power to your shields and disable foe shields subsystems for 10 seconds. Then when it's in your engines console slot, adds 50% of your auxiliary power to engine powers and disables foes engine subsystems for 10 seconds. All right, so adds to yours, minus theirs, right? But it takes from your auxiliary. So, all right. Now, when you have it in the universal console slot, it adds 25% of your shield and engine power to your auxiliary power and disable foes auxiliary subsystems for 10 seconds. So this is the one that's a little bit different. So instead of taking your auxiliary power, it gives to your auxiliary power. Instead of taking from one system, it takes from 2, and it divides it up in half. So it's not too bad. I put it in this slot mainly because, as you can see on the left there, over here, I have almost nothing in shields. I got a little bit in engines. Some of this extra power here is from from this console here. So, I believe from this one, right? No, I must be from something. Oh yeah, I had 7.5 of my weapon power to engine powers as bonus power. So, but yeah, I'll be losing 10 since I have this in the universal slot. I'll be losing 25 from both of these, but I have more than enough, so it's not going to be a problem. It'll be added into my auxiliary power. And the reason why I chose this is because of a couple things. My builds, like the current build I have on the ship, as you can see right now, it's very similar to most of my builds I do, where auxiliary is life, basically, because I get things like this console right here. This adds to my crit chance, crit severity, and also auxiliary power levels when I have my auxiliary power levels higher. So the more I have, the more crit chances and crit severity I have. I also have traits. These two here from the Nukara reputation. Auxiliary power gives me damage resistance rating, HP, and shields. This one gives me plus 7.1% in all bonus all damage based on auxiliary level, and also for accuracy rating. So with all this, combined, I want a lot of accuracy, but because my ship is a beam build, I want a lot in weapons. So I have a decent amount of weapons there. I just kind of knock these down because they're not really necessary. I have a little bit more in here because yes, I do want some speed. This is a slow ship, so having a little bit more in here is fine. And I have abilities that will increase my power levels, so that's fine. All right. But yeah, all this stuff here, let me actually go into more details. Okay, so to improve the damage on this, you need exotic particle generator. So exotic damage definitely helps improve this. What else did I want to go over? Okay, so let's go over the stats right now for our resistances, because this is the passive on this gives a decent amount of resistances based on your how much shields you're missing. So right now on this ship's a little bit different from my other ship. My main ship, I have a lot more, or at least about 10% more resistances because of the way that ship's built and stuff. But or like I guess its mastery also gives resistances. But so not very high here right now. So yeah, we got like 40.3 on radiation damage resistance. Getting that one up takes a little bit more because a lot of things affect that. So you have to have an all damage resistance rating, where these ones can have individual specifically to that type of energy damage or an all damage. So all right, but yeah, it's not very high right now. But so my inventory here, let's actually go ahead and get rid of my shield. And you see the difference there. 72.8 for almost everything, except for a couple of them are like 0.7 physical and that radiation. So I just got a massive boost to my resistances because they just took my shields off. And I think you might be able to run this ship without shields, or any other build that is tanky enough and has a lot of hull, and you have hull healing abilities that are decent, that you don't need a shield when you're in a tanky ship anymore with this kind of ability. And I think there's other consoles that have stuff similar to this. I don't have all the ships, so I don't know. I remember seeing something that's kind of similar to this, or like we get like a really huge thing. I don't know if it'll work with this one or not, or if diminishing returns will kick in, because diminishing returns has definitely kicked in on my ship already, because on my other ship I'm at like 73 percent for most of my things, like 73 point whatever. But yeah, when I have this console on, and if I add more, so let's go ahead and I'm going to replace, I think this one right here is phaser damage, also a pet thing, but doesn't have pets, so I'm using it for phaser damage. All right, let's add this one. This one has plus 26.2 all damage resistance rating, so let's go ahead and put that on. So right now we're at 72.8. Look at the top one there, 72.8 for the anti-proton damage. Let's put this on. 72.9. So it went up by 0.1%. So I'm basically, because if you hover over this, you can see on the third line down, shows your final resistance value after diminishing returns. So yeah, I'm definitely hitting that diminishing returns because I also have this console right here. This is similar to that one, but this one, instead of giving me phaser damage, it gives me the exact same amount of resistances as this one right here. So let's go and take off both of these. All right, I went down by 0.1. So each of these adds only 0.1. So I really don't need these, technically. So, because it's so low. But I'll have them on there anyways, for now. Well, actually, I'll put this one back on. All right. So yeah, you can probably run this without shields. And I will. I'll do a run without shields. So, but also, I guess I have an ability, because this is a Miracle Worker ship, and I had this unlocked. Reroute shield to hull containment 3. Sacrifices shields for max HP, plus regen, plus resistances. So you get a plus 12.5 all damage resistance rating, max hit point, and hull regen. So I probably won't see anything from that if I run this without shields. If I run this with my shield on, I'll probably get up to like about 72% at least for my resistances and stuff. So yeah. All right. Let's see here. What else? What else was I gonna do? That's about it. Oh yeah, there's another thing. Okay, let's take the shields off again here. Let's actually go ahead and go to trait, or not traits. Let's actually change this one to hazard emitter 2. All right, so I got hazard emitter 2 right here. There's something that's very odd that happens with this. So I'm at 72.8, and one of the things that you get when you do a hazard emitter is not only you get, you know, more HP or your healing, but you get 28.4 all damage resistance rating for 15 seconds. But watch what happens to my damage resistance rating when I click this. It goes down. It goes down. Now look at this right here. +0. Now once this wears off, my resistance rating will go back up. And then this should show the proper number of how much added resistance I should have. There you go. Go back up to 72.8. And I'm at +630 all damage resistance rating. So I don't know if I showed that off before for how much you get. So that's how much you get if you have no shields, basically. So I don't know what's going on. The hazard emitter just kind of bypasses this. So yeah, I don't know why it does that. It's kind of weird. I haven't tested it with this. Let me see if this does. Actually, does this give you any? No, this doesn't give you a resistance rating, but does the heal actually cause the resistance rating to go down? Yeah, it does. So whenever you heal, your resistance ratings go down. It's kind of weird. I don't understand how that works. And then I've got this one right here. This one polarizes your hull. Plus 58.6 all damage resistance rating. And you get some immunities there, but let's click that. So I'm at 73.1. So I went up by a little bit, by like what, 2 or like 1% or like 1.1, whatever it is. So yeah, not a lot. Not a lot. All right. So yeah, I'm basically at that max, really, you know, just under max, but I really can't get much higher unless I like have a whole bunch of, I guess, engineering consoles like these. I can eventually get it up there. If I upgrade this ship, I'll have the 2 more console slots. I can just like maybe stack these, but stacking these gives you a lot more diminishing returns. So there'll be points where I'll add one of these on, and this one you move it all. I mean, at this point right now, it only goes up by 0.1. So they're really not doing much. All right, so let's go ahead and go into battle. I am going to do this first run without a shield. So yeah. All right. Oop, why did I push that? Move that out of the way. There we go. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our, nope, I keep opening the wrong things, pushing the wrong buttons. This one. All right. I like to do our Gala run when I show off ships. So let's do that. And this is on normal difficulty. All right. So yeah, I don't have a shield on. You can see my resistance is up high there. So let's go ahead and I'll just get in here, start firing. I do a decent amount of damage for the way I'm built, because I have a lot of phaser damage consoles. Even though I only have 3 slots for tactical, I do have a lot of, you know, I got this gives me more phaser damage. This one gives me more phaser damage. So it's like I have 5 consoles. All right, let's go on to the next one.
You have entered an... Looks like our fight got them to notice us.
I'm gonna go ahead and show off the ability, or the console ability here. So I'm gonna gain auxiliary power. So this is gonna be doing more damage because I believe auxiliary power should help with it. But also I'm gonna do a big AoE ability here in a second. All right. Almost destroyed that one. Did a decent amount of damage. Yeah, pretty good.
Keep concentrating fire on individual ships.
And then just take them out like that.
And whittle down their numbers. We will not go quietly.
And I can always add more power if I need to. I got abilities that can do that. Now, since this is a science vessel, I'm gonna go ahead and use my gravity well. Again, look at the turning on this thing. It's awesome. There we go. But I can boost this. You know, do decent gravity well there.
And surrender to the Benton Guard.
Just a decent amount of damage. So I got that
Sensors are picking up small
from the Starship Mastery. I got exotic particle damage increased.
Temporary hideouts.
Should turn the NPCs off on this. All right, or voices. But yeah, I'll be back when I am at the main enemy on this map. Oh, before I do the main enemy, watch, I can just sit here and they'll just pummel me and I'm not really taking much damage. Small numbers. You see my hull going down a little bit, but then it goes back up. So, very tanky. All right, we got the main enemy here. Let's go ahead and speed up here a bit. All right, set the console to go off.
Warning.
I'm just gonna kind of sit here while they hit me. Actually, I'm gonna move a little closer. We'll get all of them. There we go. One ship exploded. 2 ships exploded. The main ship didn't take a lot, but the smaller ones did take a bit. So, it's not a bad console. And I can just finish them off with abilities and stuff. My weapons. I like that console. The console's pretty good. I forget what that was from. All right, so yeah, this is a pretty good ship. Again, I did that all without a shield. And you saw that I really wasn't taking that much damage because they have all this resistance rating. So, normally I would like to have this shield on because if I go into, actually go up here, go to details, the 4-piece set gives me an ability that gives me more damage and more max hull and flight speed for 30 seconds. So ideally what you're going to want to do is probably, if you're going to do this and run with no shield, get a set that doesn't require a 4-piece thing and is, you know, decent, you know. So yeah. Oh, and I didn't go over this. I have the secondary deflector. This is just one I had. You probably could go with there's the reputation ones from the competitive war games, I believe, has it, right? I believe. Let me go in here. Yeah, they have these ones in here. I'm not sure if you can re-roll these ones though, but they're decent. The one I have is kind of similar to the competitive war games one. I did re-roll it. There were some shield ones on there, so I took the shield ones off, and I got more like hull capacity and stuff. So I would say go for hull capacity if possible. No shields. So yeah. All right. Trying to think here. What else? I should go to Starbase 234. That'll be a big test because that one can be very tough on ships. So I'll be right back and I'll be there. All right, so I am here at Starbase 234. This patrol is a decent patrol for figuring out if you do a lot of damage and if you have a lot of survivability, because first you got these little smaller ships and stuff. There's no pushovers, but if you can take them out pretty quick, it's pretty good. The main thing is the starbase itself. It has a lot of health, so if you can do a decent amount of damage to it in a certain amount of time, because there will be a timer that activates. I can't remember how long it is, but so you got the timer, and then you got to defeat it. And if you get destroyed, you got to respawn, fly back over, and all that stuff. Well, I figured I'm going to try this. Normally I don't do this. First of all, I already got my shield off, so I got my resistances maxed out here. And I also decided, and this is part I normally don't do, but I actually set my, you can see right here, I'm set to elite. Normally I'm just on normal difficulty, so enemies are gonna be much tougher. I normally don't do this, and I think this will be a good test to see the survivability of this ship while doing this. Now, my damage output will seem a lot less because of the fact that these enemies are tougher. Not only physically, they're physically tougher, and they do more damage. So, all right, let's go ahead and do this. Begin. All right. So let's start. Get some power out here. Definitely see they do take a lot more of a beating here because they are tankier. So I gotta use whatever abilities I've got to break them down. Now I do have a trait that gives me healing sometimes, so I will be healing just randomly here every once in a while. I really just want to activate starship tactical abilities. I think, maybe not. It might have a cooldown on it. Oh, you see, I have been taking some damage. All right, let's heal up. Going to use the ability. See if that does any damage. All right, not a lot. Not a lot. Let's see, boost my power levels. Let's go ahead and use a gravity well. Use that ability. Okay, that's the first ship down. Or wait, are there any others? Where'd the other ones go? So those are small ships. Are those the ones I was fighting around before? Those are the small ones. So the other bigger ships are gone. So I'm fighting this cruiser, these frigates. Let's go ahead and heal up again. Polarize my hull. Let's bring this out. All right. Do as much damage as I can. There we go. Get some nice crits. Let's go ahead and take out this big ship first, because this is going to be my main problem here. So if I can get another gravity well off here. There we go. Another heal, another polarize. Fire at will so I can get some more damage off on the other ships too. There we go. There's some shuttles and stuff. I guess these are the other ships I started fighting at the beginning, aren't they? It's kind of hard to keep track sometimes. All right. Yeah, fire, beam overload here. I mean, this is just a tough ship because I'm on elite, so normally I would have had this ship taken out by now. Activate that so they focus on that a bit. And I truly believe that if I was doing this on any other ship without this console, I'd be dead by now. There's no way I would be in here this long. Gravity well on them. Let's get my photonic fleet out here too. Beam overload again. right. There we go. That one's down finally. Let's get this one down. A little easier because it's smaller. All right. Main one. Oh, I don't have enough time. Let's see what I can do. I highly doubt I can take it out, but let's go ahead and try. All right. Not really doing much of a dent right now, but I'm surviving. I'm pretty sure, again, I would be dead by now if I was any other ship or like without this console, because this is doing so much. Yeah, there you go. I wasn't able to defeat it, but I definitely was able to survive it quite well. So yeah. All right, so I'm trying to think here of content. I believe maybe there's a patrol. I might have enough enemies to get the 7 I need, so I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm doing the patrol 9th rule.
Marauder class. They've decloaked.
Now I believe there's parts in this where you have more than 7 enemies within the range for the starship trait here. So in order for that to go off, I need at least 7 enemies within a 7.5 kilometer radius. So we'll see if that goes off during this. Hopefully it will. Like I said, I think there's more than 7 that are in these areas, but I can't remember exactly.
Leave enough of their ships for salvage.
1, 2, 3. Ooh, that's not enough. All right, maybe towards the end. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. All right, come up on the end here. This might have 7 enemies that spawn at once.
It's yours.
The Birmingham.
1, 2, 3. Is that 7? Is it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7. Oh, there it goes. Goes the ability. Does it do any damage? What's going on? What was that? That wasn't even my ability, was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. All right. See, maybe more enemies spawn. Maybe there might be different numbers. Hold on. Oh, got some more spawning here. Ooh, will Zachary making enough? Oh, is that my ability going off? All right. Not really doing damage. I might have did some. That's kind of weird. All right. That might be a little bit bugged, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's use the console ability here. That does way more damage. Yeah. Again, I'm doing this without my shields on. I still haven't put them on yet. Do some healing. 4 shields failing. What? I don't have shields.
They're down to a few ships. Keep up the pressure.
Rear shield failing. Right shield failing. Left shield failing.
Yeah, just take these out.
Have failed.
Again, it's not a bad ship. I do actually do quite a bit of damage. So, oh, I think that's all of them. Yep, there we go. All right, so yeah, to kind of summarize, yeah, this is a decent ship. It's not terrible. Its main drawback is that it is very slow, even though it is not a big ship. There are other ships about the same size, maybe slightly bigger, that have better turn rate, maybe a little bit more speed. But in fact, this is a science vessel. Again, it's got the 4 forward, 4 aft. It's a miracle worker ship, so it gets an extra console slot. Upgrade that twice, you get 2 more, making a total of 14 console slots. Pretty good, especially if you're looking for a science vessel and you're stacking like consoles that must go in a science slot or universal. So this would be good for that. The main takeaway though is the console itself. The console is really good. You can run content without shields. You might need, I did need to heal a bit during this, especially during the last thing when I was at Starbase 234 there. Much tougher enemies because I was in elite difficulty. I'm back on normal difficulty, and yeah, so it's a pretty good console. I think I'm going to add it to my main ship, and yeah, see how that goes. So yeah, I am actually pleased with this giveaway, or not giveaway, this reward for the summer event. It's a good ship. I know a lot of people don't like the look of it. I don't mind it. It's not a bad looking ship. It's it's from TNG, so I know people like the fact that it's from TNG. So yeah, I do recommend getting this. As well as, I mean, in general, I recommend doing events anyways, because you get a lot of dilithium from them. You see right here, you get your more dilithium afterwards. So yeah. All right, so one more thing here. I almost forgot to show this off. This has a custom bridge. It's not too bad looking. Right now, I'm actually sitting in the captain's chair. That's, I guess, our view, our windscreen, what do you want to call it? It almost actually looks like it's an actual window. I think it might actually be an actual window, rather than a screen, because most of the time it's a screen. So it actually looks, yeah, because look, you can actually look around. It's an actual window, and they normally don't do that in this game. It's always a screen. All right, but yeah, not very big, not a lot to it. I do like the look of it though. It's pretty good. This is actually the first time I'm looking up. It's a bit of an odd. We got the central light here, but we got a light here. I wonder if that is a mistake, maybe? It didn't look right. It looks like it's kind of, in the mesh there, so with the rest of the ship there. But yeah, you got, what's this one? You got library files. You've got your account bank, which is pretty common on most ships. I don't know why you can't just have all this stuff, because you only get account bank, but you don't get normal bank. You don't get fleet bank. You don't have the access to exchange or anything like that. Instead of having a whole bunch of bridge officers or, I guess bridge officers, or other officers on the ship, throughout the ship, normally you find them like in engineering or in mess hall and stuff. But right here, you have all your bridge officer things here, so you don't have to go far to find them. This is basically all there is to this. There's nothing else. There's no other parts to go to, no engine room or anything like that, no captain's quarters or whatever. You can select your small ship, so everything you normally would have, just not a lot of space, but it doesn't look too bad. I kind of wish they would add more to stuff like this, because it'd be kind of cool to see what an alien like ready room would be, or your captain's quarters or whatever, mess hall and all that stuff. But yeah, not too bad. So yeah, let's see here. Time wise, we have until July 3rd to get this. Today is, what is today actually? All right, so right now, as of recording this, is June 22nd. So you do not have a lot of time left. So if you haven't gotten this yet, or if you're close to getting it, you better hurry up and get it. If you do not have the, if you don't have enough time to get it, unfortunately with this one, they made it way more difficult than they should have to buy it out. You can't see it right here, but normally it would be down here. And instead of being Zen, you have to use dilithium, but here's the problem. They made it way too much. I believe it's 5 million to start. 5 million dilithium to buy it out without any progress done into it. And I believe it goes down like 125. Was that how much it was per daily done? So it'll still cost you quite a bit. And some veteran players may not have a problem with that. But like, I'm a veteran player. I've been playing since like, just before the game went fully free to play. There was like a free to play option that was limited, but I don't have access to that much dilithium. I'm always using dilithium for buying or trying to trade them out for Zen. I got a decent amount right now, but I like to every once in a while try to get some Zen here so I can buy stuff in the Zen market. But with the way this is still, it's still pretty bad in here. It has not changed at all. I know their whole thing with making this cost dilithium instead of Zen was help that maybe a little bit, but it really didn't. And realistically, I only maybe like 10% of the people playing Star Trek Online right now have that much dilithium to actually buy out the ship. So yeah, so hopefully in the future maybe they change that a little bit so it's a little bit better. Because yeah, the only other option to get in this ship after this event's over is to wait a few years maybe. I'm not sure exactly how they do their timing, but eventually it'll probably be on the Zen store, so you can just buy it out with Zen. And then after that, 4 years maybe from now, if you're lucky, it might end up in the Phoenix price thing. So when you go into there, I think I have some on me, don't I? Yeah. All right. Up in here, some of the ships go in here from past events. They haven't really changed this out in a while. So yeah. So if you get lucky, it'll go in there. So that's the only other option to get that. Because the main takeaway I take away from this ship is the ship itself's not bad. It's a good ship. But the console itself is really good. If you like tanking or you want to do some tougher content by yourself, this is a really good console for that. So yeah, it is unfortunate that it costs so much dilithium just to buy it out, but hopefully in the future they get that kind of figured out. So yeah, let me know what you think of the ship. Will you get it? If you already got it, are you gonna add it to like your main your main use ships, either your main ship or like an occasional use ship, or are you just going to get it for the console? Because I can see a lot of people doing that, getting it for the console. A lot of people like survivability. So yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a like, comment, all that good stuff down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.